I am married, and I tested positive for an STI. Both my husband and I were virgins when we met together, and we are in a monogamous relationship. We just celebrated 4 years together. None of this makes sense. Truthfully, I don't believe he cheated. I know I probably sound like I'm in denial, but even my doctor seemed confused at the latest test result. A month ago, I had an IUD inserted. I had issues arise from it, so we decided to get it removed. Because of these issues, we didn't really have sex. We did 1 to 2 times with the condom in the week after the IUD was inserted, and once without a condom the night or 2 before my IUD was removed. At the time of removal, I mentioned I thought I might have an infection like BV and was checked for it. Here's the thing, when I first got the IUD in, I tested negative for any infections or STIs in general. Now, when the IUD was removed, I tested positive for BV and an STI known as Mycoplasma genitalium when he sent the swabs or samples or whatever you call it off to the lab. So, I would have had to have contracted it during the time between me getting my IUD inserted and before its removal. The thing is, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense for my husband to have cheated at all. I can't even imagine that possibility realistically, but also logistically. He's been with me unless he was at work. We live 10 to 15 minutes away from his job, and he leaves 20 minutes before work, which gives him enough time to park, walk to his unit, and clock in. He arrives home on time every night and in uniform, leaving straight from work to home. I see his schedule and his pay stubs. I know those are the hours he's working. He gets 1 paid break where I bring him food or coffee or we chat through text the whole time essentially. Other than going to work, he's been home. Anytime we went out together. There is literally no time he could have even cheated if he did. The only other time he's been alone was to pick up a curbside grocery order about 10 minutes away. 10 minutes back, and he was back home within 25 to 30 minutes, or when he picked up one of our 2 children from a relative's house and went straight there and straight back. My doctor said he's sending another sample to the lab for testing and I'll get the results back in a few days. I was a bit caught off guard in the clinic and I did cry. But as I said, even my doctor said he didn't believe the results at first and wanted to run them again, cause I tested negative at the IUD insertion. They just needed a new sample to test again, since they couldn't reuse the one that they had. I told them it had to be a mistake. It literally doesn't make sense. When I got home, I was crying, and my husband seemed concerned for me and asked what the doctor said. He just knew I got a call to come in about some results. I was struggling to find the words and was just crying and hesitating before I could speak when he hugged me and told me tight and asked what happened. That was actually when I was able to spit it out. I wanted his comfort so bad but couldn't stand it if he was a cheater. I said, please be completely honest with me. Did you cheat? He wasn't defensive. He wasn't angry. He didn't even hesitate. He just looked me square in the eye and said so confidently, no, I have never cheated. I told him about the STI result. He repeated that he didn't cheat, and as we talked more, he seemed genuinely confused. It's like he went through all the emotions I did when I got the news. He offered up his phone and said he has nothing to hide. He wanted to get tested right away to prove he didn't spread it to me and reassured me he didn't cheat. He even gave me his phone for me to share our locations with each other. I told him to wait for the next results before getting tested because I'm sure I'm just one of those rare cases of false positives. He didn't seem angry at me for asking. He was actually really confused as to how I could have gotten it, and it was literally us just trying to give theories as to how I got a false positive for hours, but all of them felt like a stretch. We discussed the possibility of a false positive. We discussed how there must be a mistake. My doctor said it can only be contracted through sex. Maybe a swapped sample or something? My husband works healthcare and knows that they try to prevent accidents from happening, but mistakes from human error are a thing. We kept telling ourselves it has to be some kind of human error. I know he didn't cheat. He couldn't have. I know I didn't cheat. Even he knows that, with both of us pointing out we've been together except when he's working. I know he couldn't have cheated. It doesn't make any sense. None of this makes sense. I know people in love still cheat, but we literally haven't had any problems in our relationship. We love each other very much. I can't see him hurting me like this. I just don't know what to think. It all feels so unreal. We're both really confused, and I feel at a loss for how to go from here. What happens if I get another positive result? What happens if I don't? What is scary is thinking I'll get a positive, but have no clue how it got there. Especially if he tests negative, because truthfully, I can't even see logistically how he could have cheated when he's been home with me except for work. None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense, and none of this makes sense. But you know what? You know what does make sense? This relationship. She said, hey, did you cheat on me? And the guy didn't flip out. I was reading so many of these, I was expecting him to, like, even if he didn't cheat, to have some man baby, a low, intelligent reaction. But he's like, nah, babe, I didn't do that. You know that ain't me. But let me clear the air for you real quick, babe. This is emotional maturity, people. I am so happy for this couple. Except for the STI part. I hope we get an update about that. Next story. Story number 2. My newborn daughter doesn't look like any of us, and it provoked rude comments towards us. Hi there. First of all, sorry for spelling. English is not my first language. So, to the point. Me and my husband are completely blonde, blue-eyed haired couple. His family are mostly blondes. From my family bio, I know only my mom and my dad. My mom was adopted from Balkans, and it is impossible to get more info, and dad only knew his mom. Also, our first 2 kids, M3 and F2, look like zero copies. They look more like twins, even though they are a year apart. Super white, blonde hair, blue eyes, same noses, etc. Now, a month ago, I gave birth to our 3rd daughter, and she came out completely different from all of us. Brown hair, dark eyes, unusual face, nothing like me or my husband. Neither of us worry since we know how genetics works and how much of a mix can sometimes happen, especially kids getting some random genes mix of the ancestors. Then the problem started. After I gave birth, all my joy and happiness from holding this little bundle of joy has been sucked out of me when my friend made a comment that she looks pretty much nothing like my dad and started to ask what I was doing when I had a work Christmas party, insinuating that I am some kind of cheater. It hurt a lot, especially that I really saw this person as my friend and would never even dare speak to anyone this way, especially a friend. From then on, an occasional random rude comment has started to come our way, and at this point, I'm just hurt when I hear it. It has happened already 4 times, from random people, and knowing that this will probably happen more in the future, and perhaps one day someone would make those comments to her when she can understand it, and that upsets me. I'm sure that our daughter is ours for 100%, and she is perfect as is. To be fair to my husband, he shut down such comments when he hears anything right away. But it's about when he's not next to me. I'm terrible at conflicts and shut down instantly when I feel it's coming. I don't know how to reply to these comments. My head feels empty. I get stressed and just upset. I'm very happy having such a big and great family, but this feels like my youngest not looking like any of us will make a hard time for her ahead, and that hurts. Does anyone have a good reply to these comments? Edit. Sorry, when I mean dark eyes, I mean as grayish, yellowish, greenish, very dark mishmash. Edit 2. To probably the Americans here, in many other countries, babies aren't just to take away from mothers. They stay home with mothers 24/7 right after birth. No one just takes the baby away from you. Honestly, I would freak out if someone would just walk away with my baby. So no, switched at birth would be impossible. Also about DNA test, I offered it to my husband, but he refused. He said that he is sure the baby is one of us and knows that genes can be random, especially with our mix of ancestors. He stands strong on my side and doesn't mind to shut down anyone showing any hint of disrespect towards us. So, anyone watching this, do you remember that Disney show called Good Luck Charlie? Editor, if you would be so kind to please put a photo of the family from Good Luck Charlie on the screen. If there's no photo, just Google it, people. But you know what? The kid, the youngest son, he didn't look anything like this blonde-haired, blue-eyes family, and they got along just fine. And this family can too. It wouldn't hurt, though, to get that DNA test, but the husband seems like, nah, that's my baby, no point, and if anyone gonna disrespect my child, I'ma punch you in the face. Good job, husband. Next story. Story number 3. I accused my friend of being a cheater and a gold digger, and I just now found out the real reason why she broke up with her ex. I don't think I can ever forgive myself. I've known my friend since we started high school, and we knew her ex for even longer. His mom and my mom were colleagues and friends from work for 20 years. He and my friend started dating straight out of high school and were together for 3 years before suddenly breaking up. It was really sudden and unexpected because he had approached me only a few weeks earlier looking to get some advice on an engagement ring as he was planning on proposing within the next few months. He was really giddy and excited during the whole process and couldn't stop gushing about her and how excited he was to marry her. So when they broke up, I knew it wasn't mutual, and I knew that my friend had initiated it. I spoke to her every day about everything, and she had never once spoken about him negatively to me in the months before they broke up. And if she was upset or angry with him, I would always be the first to know. When they broke up, I was there to support my friend and comfort her first and foremost, but I was also curious as to what happened. Every time I tried to gauge what caused the breakup, she gave me very vague answers about how he wasn't the right person, they had just drifted apart, etc. I wasn't convinced, but stuff happens, so I let it go. Not even 5 weeks after breaking up with him, she had a new boyfriend. They had obviously been talking for quite some time before then, because the first time I ever met him, their relationship status was already official. Now, this guy was hard on the eyes, and nothing like her usual type, but I soon found out that he had a very lucrative job, which answered my question as to why she was dating him. I pulled her over privately and asked if she had cheated on her ex with him for his money, which she vehemently denied. Still, there was so much evidence for this to not be the case. So, I always believed she cheated on her ex and left him to be with her new man. And I wasn't the only one, and a few of our other mutual friends had approached me with the same suspicions. I can't lie, this did drastically change how I saw her, because infidelity has always been a red line for me. My friends and I slowly distanced ourselves from her and wanted nothing to do with her new boyfriend. I would still catch up with her occasionally, but our relationship was nothing like it was before. That was just over 2 years ago, and I only just found out the real reason for the breakup now. And I don't think I can ever forgive myself, and I know there's no chance in hell she will ever forgive me for how I treated her. I stopped by my mom's house last night, and her ex's mom was there too. And when I walked in, her and my mom were discussing a Facebook post they had seen. The post was my friend announcing her pregnancy, which I was already aware of. Mom told me how I must be so happy for my friend and was gushing about how lovely the news was. Surprisingly, ex's mom also issued the same sentiment. She said she was over the moon for my friend after everything that happened with ex and looked to me for agreement. I told her I was unsure of what she meant, and she looked confused/concerned and eventually told me the full story. My friend suffered from endometriosis and had relating fertility issues that ran into the family, so she told her ex at the start of the relationship that if she ever got pregnant, she was keeping it, and if he wasn't happy with that, he shouldn't date her. Shortly before they broke up, she found out she was pregnant. He tried to convince her to get an abortion, but obviously she refused. He eased up after that and acted supportive about the pregnancy. Turns out, he actually had been spiking all of her drinks with alcohol and other substances to try and induce a miscarriage. When she found out, she packed a bag and left him immediately. She confided in her ex's mom as they had always been extremely close, and she was like another mother to her. She also wanted to let her know about the pregnancy in case she ever wanted to meet her grandchild. Unfortunately, she miscarried days later. I had been speaking to my friend throughout this whole ordeal without any idea what had been going on. While she was mourning her lost baby and a disgusting betrayal, I was there trying to probe her for answers for why she ended the relationship for my own satisfaction. When she needed support the most, I accused her of something unfathomable and distanced myself from her and encouraged my other friends to do the same. I'm not looking for anything from Reddit. I can never even forgive myself from this. I'm just racked up with guilt and disgust at myself. I can't even imagine how desperate she was for support that she still tried to reach out to me despite everything I accused her of. I've tried to reach out to her since I found out to try and repair our relationship, but she deserves so much better than me. I don't think I can ever forgive myself, nor do I deserve to ever live this down. Now, did I actually share the same theories that OP and her friends did? Yes, I would have thought, why did you leave your perfect boyfriend? Was it for money? Why are you dating this guy who isn't your type? But would I do something as so drastic as removing this person from my life? No. You want to know why? Because I didn't have evidence. I don't want to sound too harsh because she sounds like a nice person overall, but she jumped the gun way too fast. And if you've been on this channel long enough, you've heard so many stories about people cutting each other off without getting all the facts or hearing both sides. They're like, hey, I didn't hear the full story, goodbye. Right? Listen to people, communicate. But I guess she learned her lesson. So anyway, next story. Story number 4. I am gonna divorce my wife because she has a medical condition. We have had a sexless marriage for the last 3 or 6 years, and even before that, she rarely initiates sex. I've had a better sex life with my ex during our 3-year relationship. I just feel undesirable, and for my own happiness, I am going to divorce her. There are other reasons as well, such as I am the one doing most of the housework, and I am the only one earning money. She makes food if her friends come over, but never to save any money for us. She goes out with her friends, but never with me. I had $25,000 in savings before I met her, but in the last 6 years with a 6-figure salary, I am currently $8,000 in debt, and I am at the end of my rope. She is supposedly studying to earn more money, but barely spends any time on classwork. She works about 2 to 3 hours a week only for assignments for which I must help. Or she blames me for her low marks. I don't know how she feels about this, but I am going to be selfish. I just cannot continue this. Why I cannot talk about the medical condition. It is a specific condition that might ID her. I can say it is a chronic condition though. She is in pain and debilitated sometimes, and sometimes she can function normally. The frequency depends a lot on her lifestyle in the past couple of months and her age. That's not your wife, bro. That's your daughter, dude. You were raising this girl, man. What? She didn't put out for 6 years? Barely? She's got you in debt? She goes to college for 15 minutes a week, scribbles her little doodles and says, "Done, Daddy. Can I have the credit card?" Man, screw her. I don't want to be insensitive towards the condition, but she knows what she's doing. She knows. Her time's up. Anyway, next story. Story number 5. The cash register lady called the police on me because I used my boyfriend/baby daddy's card. I was at the store. I was by myself with my baby. My boyfriend gave me his credit card so I can buy the things we need. I bought the stuff the first round, and she told me to write my full name and my phone number on the back of the receipt, and I didn't think much of it. I was tired, so I just did it. By the time I was walking to the car, I realized it's probably because we aren't married, and they see I have my boyfriend's credit card. I had to go back into the store because I forgot something, so I went through the cashier again. She told me to stay and wait. She called the cops on me because I'm not married and I'm using my boyfriend's card, and apparently this counts as theft, even though my boyfriend and I have been together longer than most married couples have been together, and we have a baby together, and we live together, and have a life together. But we just don't have a legal contract in our relationship. I'm used to being discriminated against because I'm black in America, but being discriminated against because of my marital status is just wild. So, you've never been discriminated against because of your marital status. Have you met an old person at a family function in your 30s? Because then you will. Oh, where are the grandkids? Oh, where's the husband? Where's the wife? Oh, I'm old and I have nothing better to do. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.